Hey and welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We are here for another episode of Power Book 2, Ghost Season 2, Episode 7, Force My Hand. So when the episode opens, we see Lorenzo and Dru. They're in a dingy building, and it turns out they are rolling up on Kino, who is getting his bump and grind on. Dru takes him out with one shot to the head, and Carlito, Kino's number 2, comes in, and Lorenzo tells him he needs him to clear out the space and push their expansion into the streets. Dru's there telling the lady, "You didn't see anything tonight." And I'm like, "Really, Dru? Ain't none of y'all had a mask on." "You got her," Lorenzo says to Carlito. He got her. He takes the lady out. Dru's like, "That wasn't the plan." Lorenzo's like, "I can't risk anybody naming you. Rule number 1, no loose ends." So Monet is at the bar when some lady Evelyn walks in, and it is Detective Nina from New York Undercover, y'all. She is Frank's wife, and she said the last time she saw him, he was going to surprise Monet. Ma'am. They took Frank out in season 1, and you're just now looking for him? Okay, so now Monet asks how Frank got out so early. Last time she saw him, he was looking at serious time, and Evelyn says he didn't tell her, and she was just happy to have him home. She says that she hates for Monet to be in her position, and Monet reminds her, consequences of the life, we all know the rules. So Monet gives her a nod, she says, to make her whole or to start over, whatever she said. And before Evelyn goes, she says, "Tell Lorenzo I said be careful out there." Child. So Tariq meets with Davis and Saxe at a church. They show him some security footage of the Ramirez murder, and the prosecutor is claiming it looks like Tariq. And Tariq is like, "Hell no, I was at Rockefeller Center that night, meeting with Paula." Saxe is like, great. He wants her to corroborate the alibi, but Davis is like, that's not gonna be easy. So Davis asks Tariq if it's not him in the video, who it is, because the same gun was used for both murders. Tariq will not give up a name, and Saxe doesn't understand why. So Davis gets it. He tells Tariq that he can go, and after he leaves, Davis explains to Saxe, "You don't know the streets. Maybe he can't say shit. Maybe he won't say shit because he can't say shit." Exactly. So Lorenzo and Dru get home, and Monet is hot. Lorenzo lets Dru be excused while the two of them talk. Monet does not want Dru in the life anymore since he got shot. She wants to get out the game while the family is still alive, and Zeke is the answer. Lorenzo says he is never going to live off of another man. He is the protector of the family. He made sure Dru is safe, and he's always going to make sure they're all safe. So Tariq and Brayden are looking through that infamous photo album, and he asks what in there could possibly help Tariq. Tariq points to the picture, and Brayden's like, "Nah, not that one. It'll ruin my dad." And Tariq says, "It's about Sweeney." And Brayden's like, "I need to protect my family." And Tariq's like, "And I need to save mine." And I don't know why Tariq would tell him which picture he needed exactly. I guess he was doing the whole honesty thing with him still. And I was hoping for his sake. I'm like, maybe he took a picture of it real quick on his cell phone when we didn't see Brayden wasn't looking, whatever. So Tariq meets with Tate, and we find out that Sweeney was in blackface in the photo. It's for a Halloween party, and Sweeney was dressed up as OJ, doing the Heisman with a bloody knife and dead Nicole in a headlock. Tariq asks that the Westons not be dragged into this. Tate goes, "Oh, dog. Fuck what you told your little punk ass friend. You're on trial for murder, and even if you get acquitted, I am your only hope of getting your sister back." Tate says he needs that photo before Sweeney's filing date for re-election. So Tariq, he rolls into class, and Professor Milgram's face is on the ground. How could a judge grant him bail? She's asking Tate. Tate's like, "Oh, no, oh, you know, Tate." So class begins, and they begin discussing, should we make decisions for other people without their consent? It's the audacity for me. So Professor Carrie, she welcomes Tariq back and asks him to get them started. Whether we like it or not, decisions are made for people without their consent all the time, Tariq says. And Lauren mumbles, like professors exploiting a student. So the class goes into further into the question of consent and purpose and authority and, all the things that surround it. Brushandra points out Stansfield makes decisions for students all the time. Dorm raids, anyone? Yeah, like what happened to Lauren? Another student chimes in, and that one guy that's always running his mouth points out that Lauren signed the student housing agreement. So if you're gonna do drugs in your room, you gotta be smart enough not to get caught with it. Tariq is taking it all in because he had no idea that they found drugs in Lauren's room. Brushandra says Stansfield needs to stop targeting BIPOC students to drag down to the police station. So after class, Tariq tries to catch up to Lauren and ask her about her room getting raided. The drugs weren't even hers, but they brought her into the station for questioning. And that had me thinking how crazy it is that Brushandra had just been sitting around with her mouth closed and she knows she put them drugs in that girl's room. But anyway, Tariq asked her why she didn't tell him. She's like, I thought you heard. Everybody knew. Why do you even care? They were talking about drug dealing on campus, which has nothing to do with you, right? Touche, Lauren. So they go back and forth, and Lauren points out that he ended the relationship, so she does not have to finish the conversation. Whole time, Milgram's nosy butt is walking through, listening along the way, getting her ear hustle on. So Davis pulls up on Paula at a restaurant, and she is looking quite nice. She wants to know what he wants. Tariq named him as his alibi. She says she did meet with him, but not for long. She looked at the file and he still could have made it to Long Island City in time to kill Ramirez. Besides, she can't take the stand without answering what she was doing meeting with Tariq that night. She's like, you want me to tell them I was showing a video confession illegally obtained by your now partner? So she says she's not going to do him any favors, and she calls him unethical. But Miss Paula, you was right there with him, girl, but all right. So she's like, Tariq's a murderer, get him a deal. But we know Davis, he doesn't do deals. He tries to get her to have a drink, and then he just gaslights her by saying he forgives her for going behind his back to Tariq. Miss Paula stands up. She pours a drink on his shoes and says, wish Tariq luck for me. Clearly he needs it. And put your ring back on. She makes her exit. That's a bad bitch right there, he says. So Davis is in his office trying to shine his poor shoes. When Tariq comes in, it's an emergency. He needs to talk. Davis tells him Rockefeller Center is not going to hold up. The timeline doesn't work. And even if it did, they can't put Paula on the stand. So Davis asks if he has an alibi for Jabari Reynolds' murder. Tariq says he was with his little sister at his grandmother's house that night. The grandmother you called a drunk and stripped custody, Sack says. Davis is like, yeah, we're better off with Yas, but Tariq does not want Yas to take the stand, and they're running out of options. So Davis is like, but that's not why you're here, so what's up? So he's like, the cops brought his ex-girlfriend in after they found some drugs in her room, and he was wondering if that has anything to do with this. Davis asks her name and tells him that they don't have the prosecution witness list yet. So Sachs asks what she looks like, and they look at him like, why? Tariq shows him a picture, and Sachs like, oh, it would just be a good idea to, stay away until they know more. So when Tariq leaves, because Davis is like, that was weird even for you, he tells Davis that Lauren was in Jenny's office last night. She's a prosecution witness for sure. Dru and Everett, they're having some QT. When Dru asks if he got any delivery from Course Correct, he could use the smoke. Everett's like, he ain't effing with that no more. Campus is too hot, especially since they found the dead cop's badge in Tariq's dorm. So as they're talking, there's a knock at the door. Dru goes to hi. It's Detective Kevin. He wants to talk to him about the statement he gave to Everett about the gang member attacking Zeke that night. So Detective Kevin, he notices the clothes that are on the floor, which is a boy and it's another boy. So I don't know how much that would tell him, but Everett says he wishes he could help him, but he doesn't have anything to add. Whitman leaves his card. He goes, Everett and Dru talk. Dru's like, you know he's gonna be back. So Zeke is shooting hoops when bitter baby daddy pulls up and asks if he wants to do a little one-on-one. And Zeke's like, nah, I'm just focusing on my form. 1 foot, half a size bigger than the other, right? Lorenzo asks. Really, Lorenzo? That's the best that you can do? Zeke's like, yeah, how you know? Me too. It runs in our family. And Zeke is looking confused, which he's good for, but really? So I know this is gonna sound crazy. My name is Dante Spears, and I'm your father. Luke, I am your father. And I was just sitting here shaking my head. So Zeke's like, you got the wrong guy. And he's like, yo, get the F away from me. He's trying to leave. You ever wonder how you got your name? So he pulls his shirt up and shows him a tattoo from the book of Ezekiel. He said he's had it since he's 16. Your mother was with me when I got it. You should ask her about it sometime. And Zeke, he just walks away. Now Mecca. You know Cane was calling him cousin, so you should know that that boy don't know that Monet is his mother. So Monet is in a rush and she sits her phone down on the counter right next to Diana. Diana asks her why she's so stressed, and while she's running down why she's stressed, Monet is getting a text message and Diana peeps it. We need to talk about him, Nay, and it's from D. Why do you care? She asks before she leaves. This is Monet asking Diana. Your father is home. You get to go to school. I wanted to go to Stansfield, Diana says. And I told you to stay the F away from Tariq. So Professor Milgram is listening in. It was either on Clubhouse or that chat room thing that they have on Twitter sometimes. And the students are talking about Jabari's novels. And we hear Bruchandria say she heard the first book was based on Professor Milgram. So they are talking all of this lady's business when she gets a visit from Tate. He didn't get an invite to Jabari's memorial. And she's like, he ain't know him is basically what Milgram was saying. But Dean Wong comes in and he asks to speak to Carrie. Tate goes in the hallways to ear hustle like he does best. And Dean's like, I think it would be best if someone else address the donors and the alumni at Jabari's memorial with all of the rumors circulating campus. So then Tate pops right back in like this man didn't ask him to step out, and he defends her. Carrie saying, he defends Carrie saying his impulse to replace her reeks of institutional sexism and basically that they should stand behind her. Wong agrees, and after he leaves, Tate's like, I would be a +1 now, right? Okay, girl. So Monet comes in blacking on Zeke because he missed the meeting with the agent. He needs to go see his mom. A man came on the court. He's asking, like, what is going on with you? So he's like, a man came on the court and says he's my father, a real light-skinned dude, and he had this tattoo. So he's like, he needs answer. He's got to go talk to Ma. He's like, everybody said he was dead and he needs to know the truth. Sit the F down, Zeke. I need to tell you something. Your father is in prison for life. I thought this lady was about to come clean. And this is what we're doing. And why would you go from saying the man's dead to saying he's in prison? I mean, make it make sense. So she says he's going to die in there. She promised she wouldn't say anything. His mother thought that this was, would be best. And this man claiming he's your father is a liar trying to hitch a ride to the league. He's just a con man looking for a come up. She gets Zeke back in line and she goes. So right after that conversation, we see Monet at Dante's place saying they had an agreement. Why would you go to Zeke behind my back? Basically, he's like, because we had an agreement and you forced my hand, Nene. He wants to know his son. The decision not to be in Zeke's life was made for him. And Monet's like, I was 16. You don't think people were making decisions for me? She says he disappeared. He says, no, I got arrested. They offered him military, and he took it because he didn't think that he had anything to live for. He says he needed them. She asked, what about Zeke's needs? She's talking about basketball. And he's like, what is your retirement plan for you? Indeed, he is Dante. So they have some more conversation before Monet storms off. Tariq is back in church, and this time he has called Tamika to meet him there. She asks him what this is all about, and Tariq's like, he doesn't want Yaz to take the stand. She reminds him last time he asked her to, call her asking for her help, and he says he didn't kill that cop. You didn't kill this cop, Tamika says. What about the professor? He cannot look her in the eyes, and Tamika starts to bring out photos of folks that were killed by ghosts. She says she's not going to help him become his father, and she's not Davis. She needs the truth if she wants him to help her. If he wants her to help him. I don't know if I said that right. He's like, he didn't go to kill Jabari. He was forced to. Excuse me, who forced you, she wants to know. Was it the same person that killed the cop and forced you to kill Reynolds? She's like, she can get him a deal. He won't go free, but he won't serve more than 5 years, max. If you name the person, he'll take the weight. Tamika tells him he has all the tools to be better than his father was. Ghost could not get Tariq to turn himself in. He is not taking this deal, Tamika. But I'm going to let you finish. So Tariq says, that's 5 years Yaz has to spend in the system with the target on her back because I snitched. So it's meetup time. And Lorenzo has brought Dru with him, and Cane is not happy. Lorenzo and Mecca, they make small talk. Lorenzo is trying to take over Queens. He's working on getting more soldiers. Mecca's like, I've got that covered for an extra cut. All his product goes to Lorenzo. So they give, that grown man hug and they, dap it up, and he's out. And when they leave, you could tell that Cane is annoyed. And I'm like, that's it? I thought we was going to see some furniture moving, because the way Mr. Mecca was acting is like he was going to spill all the beans, just like he did with Zeke. So it's Jabari's memorial dinner, and Professor Milgram is trying to talk to Lauren. She says Tariq isn't safe. He's a drug dealer and a murderer. Lauren's like, you're the danger. Professor Reynolds, Zeke Cross, me, and now Tariq, you're the common denominator. How much do you actually know Tariq? And Lauren's like, maybe he is a product of the decisions made for him too. So at the Weston's table, Trace is being a butthead. Why are we here? Did any of us know this jabbery guy before he got killed? Dad says he sits on the alumni board, and this is what good alums do. Mom says she's read his novel for book club, and Becca points out Mom only read the sex scenes. So Brayden excuses himself, and as soon as he excuses himself, Tate slides right on over it, introduces himself, and he gets straight to it. I want to give you a heads up about a photo that's going to come out of Rick Sweeney. I was worried that he played his hand when he said that, but Daddy Weston says to him, Rick and I go way back. Tate says I wanted to mention it to you because it could blow back on you too. Tate wants him to convince Sweeney to step down, and he'll honor any kickbacks that are currently in place. I don't take blackmail lightly. This is what Daddy Weston has said. Right, only blackface. Tate says, and then he walks away. Brady's like, fuck, because I guess he heard the whole thing standing over there. So Brishandria and Lauren, they introduce Professor Milgram, and she steps up and she's going to say a few words about Jabari, but all she can hear, like my girl got bionic hearing, and all she can hear is everybody in the crowd whispering about her indiscretions, and then she ends up running off without finishing. So she goes into her office, she's crying. Tate comes in to comfort her. He says, he's been there, and yep, it is bad, but this is not the end of the road for her. He knows what it feels like to circle the drain, and he wanted to go to the dinner to corner an alum about saving his political career. He tells her story isn't over, and if you're anything like me, you will always find a way to survive. And then he exits stage left. So I'm like, okay, maybe we can get Milgram on influence and she can redeem herself, because, oof, child. So Lauren pays Tariq a visit. She wants to apologize for not supporting him. She was wrong to judge him like everybody else had, but there's something she needs to say. Diana walks up and she's like, oh, my bad. Tariq's like, nah, D, you good. And he lets her in, or die, I think he said. So Tariq's like, listen, I'm sorry, but to be honest with you, my lawyer said I shouldn't be speaking to you. And he closes the door in her face. Ouch. So Diana asks how he's holding up with everything. And she makes some small talk, but Tariq's like, but I know that's not why you're here. And he's tired of everybody playing him. He's like, if you need something or there's something you want, just let me know. She wanted to talk about her parents. She thought when her dad got out, it would bring the family closer, but everything's torn further apart. Her dad and Monet are not on the same page. He wants to take the business back to the street, and Monet wants out. Do you know somebody she does business with named D? Tariq don't answer. He's asking about Monet getting out of the game. And, Diana's continuing. Dru wants, Everett, but Lorenzo wants him working. He asks about Cane. She's like, you never know with Cane what he wants. So she tells him, she got to go to school, but it's St. John's. Tariq like, that's still fire. But I really wanted to be up here with you. And that's what Monet was afraid of. Now, damn well Monet would not like that, Tariq says. You ain't in business with her no more, right? That was the problem. She gives him a quick kiss, and he wants her to be sure. And the second thing is Monet can never find out about them. Say less, she says, and she kisses him, and they head on down to the bed. And all of these ladies are just throwing the panties at Tariq. So Dru is watching TV when Cane comes in. He takes the remote and he changes the channel. And Dru asks him what his problem is. Cane says, Cane says to Dru, you think you're invincible because Poppy's on your side when I'm the one putting food on your plate. You're not smart enough to run shit, Dru tells him. You're just a guard dog with a new master. And Cane did not like that. How did Ramirez's badge end up in Tariq's room? And if I figured it out, you don't think his lawyer isn't running to the DA right now with your name? How you know that? How you know about that? Your snitch ass boyfriend? This is Cane talking to Dru. They continue to go back and forth, and Dru did not appreciate the things that he was saying about Everett. So he charges Cane, and they start rolling around and tearing up the place. When Lorenzo comes in to break it up, he asks what's going on, and Cane says he's mad. His boyfriend's a snitch. Lorenzo asks Dru if Cane is telling the truth because they can't have any loose ends. Dru's like, it's fine. And Lorenzo's like, clean it up. He leaves, and Cane tells Dru, you better take care of Everett before someone else does. So we are in chambers, and David is talking to Yaz, who's in her cute little Burberry fit, about the time Tariq spent the night. She answers the question pretty well, and I'm pretty sure they prepped her for it. But when it's time for Jenny to ask her questions on cross, basically, Yaz gets tripped up quite easily. And I'm like, why would they not have her prepped for cross? But Yaz seems flustered, and Tariq calls the whole thing off. Also in the room with the judge, it was Davis, Tariq, Yaz, Jenny, Yaz's rep, and Tamika, which is the whole reason why I just told you who else was in the room. So Cane is at the bar. He's waiting for Monet. When she comes in, she's hot. What the F is so important? He stops her. He's like, listen, Mecca cut off our supply. All the product is now going straight to Poppy, so there's nothing left for us. Our little side hustle with Tariq is dead. Monet is stressed. They needed that money coming from Stansfield to pay Davis. She asks him what he's going to do about it. No, Monet. You tell him what to do. You did not ask Cane to figure anything out. So Sax, he's getting him a little special latte when Tamika comes in to talk to him. She says they both know Tariq did not kill Ramirez. She thinks he knows who did it, but he won't take the deal because of his sister. But if you can get Yaz out of the system, maybe he'll sign. Sax knows Davis is not going to go for it, and they have some more conversation, and Sax is like, maybe it's time a body caught up with him. And Tamika's like, you saw him with Yaz, and she believes that there's still good in him. A lot of bad decisions were made for Tariq, and they are going to stick to this theme of the classroom board. This is the 5th or 6th time it's been brought up throughout the episode. It's not too late for us to give him a chance to decide for himself who he is. He can be better, but does he want to be better? Sax is asking. Tamika believes he does. So Dru is sitting in the car, and he's watching Everett. We see him pull a gun out the glove box. He pulls his mask up. He gets out the car. He's following him down the street, what looks like a busy street, with the gun out. And then he gets a text on his phone. What are you doing? I miss you. It's from Everett. And that was all it took. Now he can't do it. So he texts him back and he heads back to the car. Zeke is at the Tejada house and Diana asks him what he's doing here. Monet thought it would be best for him to spend the night. Some Rick Fox looking N-word named Dante is claiming to be my dad. And why he say that? Diana is sitting there putting the puzzle pieces together. Her little wheels are spinning. Her spidey senses is tingling and all of that. She asks if he's okay. He's like, he's good. Some doors are better left closed. So David gets in his Bentley only to have somebody point a gun at him. It's Cane. The only person that goes down for those murders is Tariq. You got that? I guess the kid didn't do it, David says. I assume you planted the badge. And Kane's like, yeah, listen, you're doing too much talking. So David tells him, you pull that trigger and you're killing the only person that can get you off for it. You and Tariq are in this together, whether you like it or not. They don't care about that professor. They want the cop killer, and that's you. He tells him Tariq had a chance to say his name, but he didn't take it. If he goes down for this, so will you. None of us would be here if you didn't plant that badge. David says as long as the money keeps rolling in, though, he's not saying shit. So Cane gets out, and Davis drives off. But before he speeds off, he stops, he rolls the window down. He says, tell your mother I said hello, Cane. Davis is a G, and Monet was right about one thing. Cane is always going to make some shit worse. Speaking of Monet, Lorenzo has the room decked out with flowers and candles and slow music. He wants to make it up for her for all those years of conjugals. So he says there's one more thing he needs to know. You're not still working with Tariq, are you? And she kind of walks over. She's like, no, I shut it down just like you wanted me to. And then she she starts taking his robe off because, she lying. So someone is having a serious get-together. And then we see guns. It's Carlito and some of Mecca's boys, I'm assuming. They throw a smoke bomb down into the basement, and then they run in with the laser beam and start letting them things off. Those folks never stood a chance, didn't know what was happening. So when it's done, Rocky sends a text message to Lorenzo. It's done. We see his phone go off on his nightstand, and on Mo's nightstand going off, she's getting a text message from Dante or D. Can we please talk? So Tariq gets a knock on the door. It is Sax, Tamika, and reluctant Jenny. 5 years in exchange for Ramirez's killer. Sax said he pulled some strings and they can get Yasmin into the foster care with that family she liked. And we'll send your grandmother into rehab, Tamika says. Once she's clean, Yasmin will go back into her custody if he signs. Tariq says if he snitches and signs the papers, he won't be any better than his father. And Jenny laughs like, no. Y'all don't got me effed up. Y'all brought me here for this. And Tamika tells him, look, this is your last lifeline. Tariq doesn't believe that he'll be safe in jail as a snitch or that his grandma or Yaz will be able to walk the streets safely. Jenny rips the papers up and Tamika wishes him good luck at trial and says, don't call me again. And she walks on out the door. So Sax is having a drink at the bar when Davis comes in. You went behind my back to make a deal with our client. Sax says it was the only way that they can win. And Davis is like, 5 years in is not a win. But Tariq didn't take the deal, so nothing lost. Davis asks who Lauren's legal counsel was at the police station. He wants to know what she's going to say. Sax he's like, oh, goes in the briefcase, gets the papers. He look at the papers. Holy shit. He shows Davis, who makes a face like, you got to be kidding me. So Cane meets with Tariq, who has 10 minutes to get back to campus before, he said 12 runs up on him because, he got the ankle monitor. So Cane tells him the supplier cut them off. No more product. Tariq's like, I don't understand. He needs to be able to pay his lawyers. And Kane's like, yes, because, that saves both of our asses. And he, need to figure something out and figure it out fast. What do you expect me to do with no product? You're supposed to be the smart one, right? Cane asked him. There's money out here, and there's more than one way to get it. He leaves Tariq with some food for thought. So Carrie gets a visit from Davis, who calls her unhinged. using a student to sabotage his client under the guise of being her counsel. He should have her up before the ethics committee. Carrie laughs and says he doesn't have an ethical bone in his body. And what bone haven't you had? His last count, she slept with 4 people involved in the case, or am I missing any? She says his body count is higher than hers and he's married. A little more back and forth between these two, and Davis tells her if Lauren Baldwin is called as a witness, he is going to rip her apart on the stand. Now Milgram is concerned that it's not safe for him to mention Lauren's name to Tariq. Should have thought about that before you got her involved in all this. My client is going free. Whatever it takes, he says, and he heads out the door, and that is where we end. Please, 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 I'm going to wrap this up briefly. Put your thoughts and comments on the episode below. Down in the comments. Episode 8 been aired, and episode 9 dropped shortly, probably by the time I get this video up. Episode 9 will already be out. Your girl is playing catch up, but I hope you will come back and join me for my reviews. If you made it this far, put an explosion emoji for Mecca Dante dropping a bomb on poor Zeke. While you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you, thank you. And before you go, like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. Peace.